what to do with these hands. So nobody knows what to do with the hands when they talk. What do you think you should do with your hands? What's that? Use them. Okay, so I'm talking. Is this a good way to use them? Right? So some people say, well, you know, I'm Italian or I'm Jewish. I use my hands a lot. Or Latino. We just use our hands a lot. Well, how comfortable is it if you're listening to me if my hands are flying all over the place when I'm talking? Right? We want to use our hands in a purposeful way. All right? We want to use our gestures purposefully. Another thing I often tell people, because some people have this chaotic look to their hands. And so one strategy is web your fingers together. Right? So if your fingers are together and you're using your hands a lot, it doesn't look as chaotic. Right? So just keep your fingers, think of them as you just stitch the fingers together. Don't do this, because that's not going to look right like that. Keep them together and you look less chaotic. So yes, you do use your gestures, you use it appropriately, but you don't want to overdo it. Has anybody here ever done Toastmasters? Or do you know about Toastmasters groups? And very often, and it's a wonderful way to become more comfortable with your speaking skills. However, very often it looks like the gestures have been rehearsed in such a way that it doesn't seem natural when I'm talking. Right? So you don't want your gestures to look scripted. Just let them move naturally, which you probably do when you're talking to people. But just if they're a little wild, rein them in. Where do you keep your hands, though, when you talk? What am I doing with my hands when I'm talking? Keeping it by your side is okay. A lot of people think that's wrong, that they shouldn't keep it by their sides. But if they're by the sides, they're neutral, and you're not noticing it. I think as soon as you notice my hands, more than what I'm saying, then I'm not using it correctly. Again, my hands should enhance what I'm saying, not be the whole focus. How about this, if I'm talking? What do you think of this? Now, again, there are books written about body language, and that's typically I'm lying. Well, it may not be I'm lying. I may think I have spinach in my teeth because we just had lunch. Maybe I have something wrong with my tooth. But again, somebody's going to interpret that as that I might be lying.
That's really interesting. I notice our kids do that a lot.
Kids?
Especially our kids when they're speaking in front of a group that they I know, like positivity points or something, when they feel shy, they'll often.
Like, I better not say it, or I'll say it quietly.
Or they kind of don't want, just, it's such a big issue with the kids that we work with, especially because it's really hard to feel comfortable to speak English for the first time when you're learning it, and they're so nervous and I see this a lot, and sometimes it's like, as a coach, trying to think about how to correct them respectfully is can be not to dissuade them from how to give them that feedback without that also overwhelming.
But again, just make somebody aware of it.
Yeah,
exactly. Or just to say, do you realize your hand's in front of your mouth? Again, there could be many reasons. I did a workshop and the woman had a temporary cap in her mouth, and they were all being videoed because that was the work that they did. She was miserable, and she kept doing that, and she said, this isn't normally me, but that's who I'm seeing, and so that's how I'm reacting to her. Should my hands be back here when I talk? I told people no, and then I worked with people in the Army, and they said, no, at West Point, when we give presentations, we were taught to stand like this. So again, it depends the setting. So those people, those engineers who went to West Point, worked for the Army, were much more rigid. Some people stand like this. How's that? The only place this is appropriate is on a soccer field. It's the only time you see hands like that where it's okay. But normally it's considered like the fig leaf. You're protecting yourself. You don't seem as comfortable. Let your hands drop at your side. They don't need to be here. They don't need to be here. But let them drop at your side, and then you naturally start to raise your hands to communicate more effectively. The other thing, clenching your hands. If you're nervous, be careful about doing that. Be careful about playing with things. How many people play with their hair? Or women throw their hair back off their shoulders. Soccer players don't do it. Most of them have ponytails, right? Your hair's back. But all of those things become major distractions. When you're talking, don't point. I saw Hillary Clinton do that in one of the debates. That is so aggressive to point to somebody. be careful. You're really on the defensive if you're doing that. This isn't so bad. But if I start pointing, it's very reprimanding. Again, be careful.